Marcus Chen wiped the sweat from his forehead as he guided his salvage ship through the asteroid field. The rocks floated silently around him, each one telling a story of some long-ago disaster. He had been working this sector for 3 months, collecting metal scraps and broken ship parts that other crews had missed. His ship, the Persistence, was old but reliable. Marcus had built most of the salvage equipment himself, using spare parts and clever thinking. Other humans called him crazy for working alone in deep space, but Marcus liked the quiet. Out here, nobody asked questions about where he came from or why he left Earth. The scanner beeped softly. Marcus looked at the screen and saw something unusual. Most of the objects in this field were just rocks and old metal, but this signal was different. It was sending out a weak distress beacon. Well, Marcus said to himself. What do we have here? He moved the Persistence closer to investigate. Through the front window, he could see a small pod floating between 2 large asteroids. It was not human-made. The metal was too smooth, and it had a strange blue color that seemed to glow in the starlight. Marcus had seen alien technology before. Most humans in the outer colonies had. But this pod was different from anything he knew. It looked expensive, like something that belonged to one of the big alien empires. The distress signal was getting weaker. Whatever was inside that pod was running out of power and maybe time. Marcus brought his ship alongside the pod and extended the docking arm. The metal made contact with a soft thud. He put on his spacesuit and checked his tools. Opening alien pods could be dangerous. Some species protected their technology with deadly traps, but the distress signal meant someone inside needed help. Marcus had never been able to ignore a call for help, even when it was smart to walk away. The pod's door was damaged, probably from whatever accident had brought it here. Marcus used his cutting torch to carefully remove the twisted metal. As he worked, he could hear the soft hum of life support systems inside. Someone was definitely alive in there. When the door finally opened, Marcus gasped. Inside the pod was the strangest being he had ever seen. It looked like a young female, but her skin had a crystal-like quality that caught the light. Thin lines of soft blue light ran across her body like veins, but they were flickering weakly. She was unconscious and clearly hurt. Her left arm was bent at a wrong angle, and there were cracks in her crystal skin that leaked a golden fluid. Marcus had never seen anything like her before, but he knew she was dying. He carefully lifted her from the pod. She was lighter than he expected, and her skin felt warm despite its crystal appearance. As he carried her to his ship, he noticed that she wore fine clothes that seemed to be made from liquid metal. This was definitely not some common space traveler. Marcus placed her in his ship's small medical bay and tried to figure out what to do. His medical training was basic, designed for human injuries. But hurt was hurt, no matter what species you were. The girl's breathing was shallow and fast. Marcus checked her pulse and found it was too quick. She was in shock. He covered her with a thermal blanket and started an IV drip with basic nutrients that worked for most oxygen-breathing species. While she rested, Marcus went back to examine her pod. Inside, he found a small device that was still working. It looked like a communicator, and it was playing a message over and over in a language he did not understand. Marcus connected the device to his ship's computer and ran it through the translation program. The computer worked for several minutes before producing a result. The translation was rough, but Marcus could understand the main points. The message was an automatic distress call. It gave the girl's name as Princess Zara of House Lysandra. It said she was the daughter of Queen Lysandra, ruler of the Vitherian hegemony. The message also said that Princess Zara had been taken prisoner during a rebellion and had escaped 3 days ago. Marcus felt his stomach drop. The Vitherian hegemony was one of the most powerful alien empires in the galaxy. They controlled hundreds of star systems and had technology that made human science look like stone tools. They were also known for being proud and quick to anger. Most humans avoided their space completely, but as Marcus looked at the unconscious girl in his medical bay, he did not see a powerful alien princess. He saw a hurt child who needed help. The translation program beeped again. It had found more information in the pod's memory banks. Marcus read the new data and felt sick. According to the records, Princess Zara had not just been kidnapped, she had been used for experiments. The rebels had been trying to turn her into some kind of weapon against her own people. The experiments had failed, but they had left her with strange devices inside her body. The devices were slowly poisoning her. Without proper treatment, she would be dead within days. Marcus looked at his basic medical equipment. He had bandages, painkillers, and simple surgical tools. Nothing that could help with alien technology poisoning. For that, she would need Vitherian doctors on the Vitherian homeworld. But the Vitherian homeworld was hundreds of light years away, through space controlled by the same rebels who had tortured this girl. A human ship would be stopped and searched at every checkpoint. If the rebels found Princess Zara, they would finish what they started. Marcus sat down heavily in his pilot chair. The smart thing to do would be to contact the nearest authorities and let them handle this. He was just a salvage operator, not a hero. He had no business getting involved in alien politics. Princess Zara made a soft sound in her sleep. Marcus looked back at her and saw that the blue lights in her skin were getting even dimmer. She was running out of time. Marcus Chen had spent most of his life running from responsibility. He had left Earth because he did not want to follow rules. He worked alone because he did not want to depend on others. But as he looked at this dying girl, he realized that some things were more important than staying safe. He started up the Persistence's main engines and plotted a course toward Vitherian space. It would take weeks to get there, and every mile would be dangerous. But Princess Zara was going home, even if it killed them both. Princess Zara woke up 3 days later. Marcus was checking her IV when her eyes opened. They were a deep purple color, like the night sky, and they looked around the medical bay with fear. "Where am I?" she asked in perfect English. Her voice was soft and musical, but Marcus could hear the pain in it. "You're safe," Marcus said gently. "My name is Marcus Chen. I found your escape pod and brought you to my ship." Zara tried to sit up, but pain shot through her body. She looked down at her crystal skin and saw the cracks that were still leaking golden fluid. "I should be dead," she whispered. "Not if I can help it," Marcus replied. He helped her lie back down. "I've been giving you nutrients and painkillers, but I need to know more about your biology to help you properly." For the next hour, Zara explained how Vitherian bodies worked. Her people were silicon-based, rather than carbon-based like humans. The blue lights in her skin were actually part of her nervous system, visible through her crystal exterior. The golden fluid was similar to human blood, but it carried both nutrients and electrical energy. Marcus listened carefully and took notes. Human medicine was all about adaptation and problem-solving. If you understood how something worked, you could usually find a way to fix it. "The rebels put machines inside me," Zara said quietly. "They wanted to make me into a bomb that would explode when I got close to my mother. But I escaped before they could finish the process." Marcus examined the areas where she felt pain. Using his ship's scanner, he could see dark shapes under her skin. The rebel devices were small but numerous, scattered throughout her body like pieces of shrapnel. "These machines are poisoning you," Marcus said. "They're sending signals that disrupt your nervous system. That's why your lights are so dim." Zara nodded sadly. "Vitherian doctors tried to remove them before, but the machines are too deep. They said it would kill me to take them out." Marcus studied the scanner images for a long time. The rebel devices were indeed embedded deep in Zara's body, connected to major nerve pathways. Traditional surgery would be impossible, but Marcus had an idea. "What if we don't remove them?" he said. "What if we just turn them off?" Zara looked confused. "Turn them off? These devices need power to work," Marcus explained. "They're probably using your own bioelectricity as fuel. If we can disrupt their power source temporarily, they might shut down permanently." It was a risky plan. Marcus would need to use his ship's electrical systems to send precise pulses through Zara's body. Too little power and the devices would restart. Too much power, and he could kill her. "It might not work," Marcus warned her, "and it will hurt a lot." Zara looked at him with her purple eyes. Why are you helping me? Your people and mine barely know each other. You could have just left me to die. Marcus thought about the question. Because it's the right thing to do, he said simply. Where I come from, we don't leave people behind. Over the next few days, Marcus prepared for the procedure. He modified his ship's power systems and created a special suit that would deliver controlled electrical pulses. Zara helped him understand her body's electrical patterns. They also talked about their lives. Marcus told her about Earth and why he had become a salvage operator. Zara described the Vitherian hegemony and her life as a princess. Despite coming from completely different worlds, they found they had a lot in common. I never wanted to be a ruler, Zara admitted. I wanted to explore the galaxy and meet other species. But my mother said it was my duty to stay home and learn statecraft. Maybe after this, she'll understand that exploring isn't such a bad thing, Marcus said. When everything was ready, Marcus began the procedure. He started with low-power pulses, gradually increasing the strength. Zara gritted her teeth as electricity flowed through her body. The blue lights in her skin flickered wildly. It's working, Marcus said, watching his scanners. Some of the devices are shutting down, but as the power increased, something went wrong. The rebel machines began to fight back, sending chaotic signals through Zara's nervous system. She screamed in pain as her body convulsed. Marcus had a choice. He could stop the procedure and leave some devices active, or push through and risk killing her. He looked at Zara's face and saw determination in her eyes despite the pain. Keep going, she gasped. I trust you. Marcus increased the power to maximum. Sparks flew from his equipment as massive electrical current flowed through the modified suit. Zara's scream cut off suddenly as she lost consciousness. For a terrifying moment, Marcus thought he had killed her. Her biosigns flatlined on his monitors. But then, slowly, her heart started beating again. The blue lights in her skin began to glow steadily for the first time since he found her. Marcus quickly shut down the power and checked her vital signs. The rebel devices showed no activity on his scanners. They were completely dead. Zara opened her eyes an hour later. The purple color was brighter now, and her crystal skin had stopped leaking golden fluid. I feel different, she said, sitting up easily. Stronger. The devices are gone, Marcus told her. Your body can heal properly now. Zara stood up and looked at herself in the mirror. The blue lights in her skin pulsed with healthy energy. The cracks were already beginning to close. You saved my life, she said softly. We're not done yet, Marcus replied. We still need to get you home. They were now deep in space, traveling toward the Vitherian homeworld. But between them and safety lay hundreds of rebel ships and patrol stations. Marcus had been avoiding main travel routes, but that made the journey much longer. Zara was getting stronger every day, but Marcus was getting more worried. His ship was running low on fuel and food. Worse, his long-range sensors were picking up increased rebel activity ahead. They know I escaped, Zara said, looking at the sensor readings. They're searching for me. Then we'll have to be smarter than they are, Marcus replied. As they traveled, Zara taught Marcus about Vitherian technology and culture. She showed him how to read their navigation systems and explained their military tactics. Marcus shared human techniques for avoiding detection and survival in hostile space. Humans are remarkable, Zara said one evening as they ate dinner together. Your people solve problems in ways we would never think of. You're not the strongest or most advanced species, but you never give up. That's because we're too stubborn to know when we're beaten, Marcus laughed. But privately, he was beginning to wonder if stubbornness would be enough. They were still weeks away from the Vitherian homeworld, and the rebels were closing in. The first rebel patrol found them 2 weeks later. Marcus was sleeping when the ship's alarms woke him up. 3 Vitherian warships had appeared on his sensors, moving fast toward the Persistence. Hide in the cargo hold, Marcus told Zara as he ran to the pilot seat. If they board us, don't let them see you. But Marcus, Zara started to protest. Trust me, he said firmly. I have a plan. Marcus had spent the last few days modifying his ship's systems. He had created false readings that made the Persistence look like a different type of vessel. Instead of a human salvage ship, it now appeared to be a Krellin merchant vessel on the sensors. The lead rebel ship opened communication. Unknown vessel, this is Commander Vax of the Liberation Fleet. Prepare to be boarded for inspection. Marcus put on his best confused voice. This is Captain Nell, of the merchant ship Tradewind. I'm carrying medical supplies to the outer colonies. Why are you stopping me? There was a pause. Marcus held his breath, hoping his disguise would work. Krellins were a common species in this sector. Known for being peaceful traders. Send us your cargo manifest, Commander Vax ordered. Marcus had prepared for this. He transmitted fake records showing a cargo hold full of medical equipment and pharmaceuticals. The rebels studied the data for several minutes. Your ship appears clean, Captain Nell, Vax finally said. Proceed on your course. But be warned. We are searching for a dangerous criminal. If you see a young Vitherian female, report it immediately. Of course, Commander, Marcus replied. Safe travels. The rebel ships moved away, continuing their patrol. Marcus waited until they were completely gone before calling Zara out of hiding. How did you do that? She asked, amazed. Humans are good at pretending to be something we're not, Marcus said. It's kept us alive in a galaxy full of bigger, stronger species. But their problems were just beginning. As they got closer to Vitherian space, the rebel patrols became more frequent. Marcus had to change his ship's identity 3 more times, pretending to be different species each time. The rebels were getting suspicious. They began demanding cargo inspections, not just sensor scans. Marcus managed to avoid most of them by using old trade routes that were marked as dangerous on the star charts. Other ships avoided those routes because of asteroid fields and radiation storms, but Marcus knew the Persistence could handle them. You're taking us through a pulsar field? Zara asked nervously as they approached a region of space filled with deadly radiation. Rebel ships have standard shielding, Marcus explained. They can't follow us through here without damaging their systems. But I've upgraded the Persistence with salvaged military shields. They flew through the dangerous region while radiation storms crashed around them. The ship shook violently, and several systems overloaded, but they made it through. When they emerged on the other side, they had gained 2 days on their pursuers, but their luck ran out at the edge of Vitherian space. A massive rebel fleet was waiting for them, 20 warships spread across the border, in a net that was impossible to avoid. They know we're coming, Zara said, looking at the scanner display. Marcus studied the fleet positions. The rebels had blocked every safe route to the Vitherian homeworld. There was no way to sneak past them. Then we don't sneak, Marcus said. We do something they won't expect. He opened communication channels to every frequency in the area, including emergency bands that reached both rebel and loyal Vitherian forces. Then he began broadcasting Zara's story. My name is Marcus Chen, he said into the microphone. I'm a human salvage operator. And I'm carrying Princess Zara of House Lysandra. The rebels kidnapped her and tried to turn her into a weapon against her own people. They put machines inside her body that would have made her explode when she got close to Queen Lysandra. Zara took the microphone from him. I am Princess Zara, she said, her voice carrying the royal authority she had been trained to use. What these rebels did to me was not just treason. It was an abomination. They tried to make me kill my own mother. The broadcast reached ships throughout the system. On the rebel vessels, crew members who had joined the rebellion for political reasons realized they were supporting monsters who tortured children. Several ships broke formation and jumped away, but Commander Vax and his loyal followers were furious. They charged toward the Persistence. Weapons charging. All ships. Destroy that vessel, Vax screamed over the communication channels. The princess must not reach the homeworld alive. That was a mistake. Vax's words were heard by everyone in the system, including loyal Vitherian forces that had been hiding in the outer asteroids. They had been waiting for the right moment to strike back against the rebels. Suddenly, space erupted in battle. Vitherian Royal Navy ships appeared from behind moons and asteroid clusters, opening fire on the rebel fleet. The rebels found themselves caught between the Royal Navy and the border defenses. Marcus found himself flying directly through the middle of the largest space battle he had ever seen. Energy beams and missiles flew in all directions. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. "This is insane," Zara shouted over the noise of alarms and weapons fire. "Insane is what humans do best," Marcus replied, dodging between two fighting dreadnoughts. He used the battle as cover, following behind larger ships and using their debris clouds to hide his small vessel. When a rebel cruiser exploded directly in front of them, Marcus flew the Persistence through the explosion just as the shockwave passed. The maneuver threw them off course but also scattered the rebel sensors. By the time the enemy figured out where they were, the Persistence was already past the battle zone and racing toward the Vitherian homeworld. "Royal Navy ships, this is Princess Zara," she broadcast. "I'm aboard the human vessel, Persistence, heading home. We need medical assistance and safe passage to the palace. Princess," came the reply from Admiral Corex, commander of the Royal Navy. "By the stars! You're alive! All ships, escort the Persistence to the homeworld immediately." A squadron of Vitherian fighters formed up around Marcus's small ship. For the first time in weeks, they were truly safe. But as they approached the planet, Marcus could see that the war was not over. Smoke rose from several cities, and debris from destroyed ships orbited the world. "The rebels attacked the homeworld," Zara said quietly, looking at her damaged planet. "Is the palace secure?" Marcus asked. "I don't know," she replied. "We'll find out soon enough." As they entered the atmosphere, Marcus could see that the royal palace was under siege. Rebel ground forces had surrounded the massive structure with weapons and siege equipment. The palace shields were holding, but they flickered weakly. "They're trying to break through to my mother," Zara said, her voice filled with anger and fear. Marcus looked at the siege below, and then at his ship's fuel gauge. They had just enough power for one more crazy maneuver. "Hold on," he said. "We're going down there." "Marcus, no," Zara protested. "There are anti-aircraft guns everywhere." "Then we'll have to be faster than their targeting systems," Marcus replied. He put the Persistence into a steep dive, heading directly for the palace. The royal fighters tried to follow, but Marcus's ship was smaller and more maneuverable. He weaved between the rebel weapons fire, using every trick he had learned in years of dangerous salvage work. The palace grew larger and larger in the front window. Marcus could see the rebel soldiers looking up at his approaching ship. Some were firing small weapons at them, but their shots went wide. At the last second, Marcus pulled up and skimmed across the palace roof. He found a landing platform that was clear of enemies and set the ship down hard. The landing gear collapsed, but they were alive. "Mom," Zara whispered, looking through the window at the palace where she had grown up. "I'm almost home. Palace guards surrounded the Persistence before Marcus could even turn off the engines. They moved with weapons ready, their crystal armor gleaming in the palace lights. These were elite soldiers, trained to trust no one during a siege. "Come out slowly with your hands visible," the guard captain ordered through his speaking device. Marcus looked at Zara, who was putting on a royal robe she had found in her escape pod. Despite everything she had been through, she still carried herself like a princess. "Let me go first," she said. "They need to see that I'm real." The ship's door opened, and Zara stepped out into the palace courtyard. The guards froze when they saw her. Many of them had known her since she was a child. "Princess Zara?" the captain whispered. "Is it really you?" "Hello? Captain Thorne," Zara said with a weak smile. "I've come home." The guards dropped to one knee immediately. Captain Thorne's voice shook as he spoke into his communicator. "Command, this is impossible, but Princess Zara is here. She's alive and requesting entry to the palace." Marcus climbed out of his ship more slowly. The guards watched him with suspicion, their weapons half raised. He was clearly human, and humans were not common in the royal palace. "This is Marcus Chen," Zara said quickly. "He rescued me from the rebels and brought me home. Without him, I would be dead." Captain Thorne looked confused. "Princess, we received reports that you died in the rebel attack on your transport ship. Queen Lysandra has been in mourning for 3 months. The reports were wrong, Zara replied. Take us to my mother immediately. The captain hesitated. Princess, I want to believe you, but we have standing orders. No one enters the palace during the siege without proper identification and security clearance. Not even someone who looks like you. Marcus understood the guard's caution. During a war, enemies often used disguises and tricks to get close to their targets. But Zara was getting weaker again. The stress of the journey and the battle had drained her energy. Captain, Marcus said carefully. Princess Zara needs medical attention. She's been poisoned by rebel technology. If you don't let us through soon, she might not survive long enough for your security checks. Thorn looked at Zara more closely and saw that her crystal skin was pale and her blue lights were dimming again. Medical team to landing platform 7. He called into his communicator. Emergency situation. A team of Vitherian doctors arrived within minutes. They scanned Zara with their medical devices and confirmed that she was indeed the real princess, not some rebel clone or imposter. She's been severely traumatized, the lead doctor reported. Her biosignature shows signs of forced technological integration. Someone tried to implant foreign devices in her body. We need to take her to Queen Lysandra, Zara said weakly. Please. I need to see my mother. The medical team wanted to take her to the hospital wing, but Zara refused. She insisted on going directly to the throne room, where Queen Lysandra was coordinating the defense of the palace. Captain Thorn made the decision to escort them personally. They moved through corridors that Marcus had only seen in history books. The palace was beautiful but felt like a fortress under siege. Guards stood at every intersection, and blast shields covered the windows. Queen Lysandra sat on her crystal throne, surrounded by military advisors and communication equipment. She was tall and elegant, with the same purple eyes as her daughter but carrying the weight of leadership on her shoulders. When the doors opened and Zara walked in, the queen's face went completely white. This cannot be real, Queen Lysandra whispered. My daughter is dead. Mother, Zara said, walking slowly across the throne room. It's me. I'm here. The queen stood up, her hands shaking. No. This is a rebel trick. They're using holograms or shapeshifters to break my spirit during the siege. Marcus watched as mother and daughter stared at each other across the room. He could see the pain in both their faces. Queen Lysandra had clearly been through hell, thinking her daughter was dead. Tell me something only Zara would know, the queen demanded. Zara smiled sadly. When I was 7, I tried to fly by jumping off the palace roof. You caught me with telekinesis and then lectured me for an hour about physics and gravity. But later that night, you brought me hot chocolate and told me that dreaming of flying was not foolish. It was the first step toward reaching the stars. Queen Lysandra's eyes filled with tears. Zara? My little star dreamer? Mom. I'm back, Zara said simply. The queen ran across the room and pulled her daughter into her arms. Both of them were crying now, holding each other as if they would never let go again. Every person in the throne room was silent, moved by the reunion they were witnessing, but the embrace lasted only a moment before Zara collapsed. The emotional stress had been too much for her weakened body. Queen Lysandra caught her daughter as she fell, calling urgently for doctors. What's wrong with her? The queen demanded, as the medical team rushed in with their equipment. The rebels tortured her. Your Majesty, Marcus said quietly. They tried to turn her into a weapon against you. I removed the devices, but the damage was severe. Queen Lysandra looked at Marcus for the first time since entering the room. Her eyes were cold and suspicious. And who are you, human? What do you want in return for bringing my daughter home? Marcus was hurt by the question, but he understood it. In the queen's position, he would be suspicious too. I don't want anything, Your Majesty. I did what anyone would do. No, Queen Lysandra said firmly. Most beings would not risk their lives for a stranger, especially not for a member of the royal family. Such actions usually come with a price. The doctors were working frantically on Zara, but her condition was getting worse. The blue lights in her skin were flickering rapidly, like a candle in the wind. Your Majesty, the lead doctor said urgently. The princess is in systemic failure. The removal of the rebel devices has left gaps in her bioelectrical system. Our traditional healing methods are not working. Marcus looked at the medical readouts and recognized the problem. She needs a bioelectrical bridge, he said. Something to carry the nerve signals across the damaged areas while her body heals. We don't have such technology, the doctor replied helplessly. I do, Marcus said. Back on my ship, I have adaptive medical equipment. It's designed for multiple species. I can modify it to work with Vitherian biology. Queen Lysandra stared at him. You would do this? Even after I questioned your motives? She's your daughter, Marcus said simply. And she's my friend. ABO. The Queen made a quick decision. Captain Thorne, escort this human to his ship and help him retrieve whatever he needs. Do it now. Marcus ran back to the Persistence with a squad of guards. He gathered his medical equipment and rushed back to the throne room. Working with the Vitherian doctors, he set up a temporary bioelectrical bridge using his adaptive technology and their understanding of Zara's biology. The procedure took 3 hours. Marcus and the royal doctors worked side by side, combining human adaptability with Vitherian precision. Slowly, Zara's biosigns began to stabilize. When she finally opened her eyes, the first face she saw was her mother's. Am I dreaming? Zara whispered. No, my star dreamer, Queen Lysandra replied, stroking her daughter's crystalline hair. You're home. You're safe. Zara looked around the room and saw Marcus cleaning his medical equipment. Did he save me again? Yes, the Queen said quietly. He did. Queen Lysandra stood up and walked over to Marcus. When she spoke, her voice was formal but filled with emotion. Marcus Chen of Earth, she said. You have returned my daughter to me and saved her life twice. The Vitherian people owe you a debt that can never be repaid. Marcus looked uncomfortable with the formal speech. You don't owe me anything, Your Majesty. I just did what was right. That, Queen Lysandra said with a small smile, is exactly why we owe you everything. Outside, the sounds of battle were getting closer. The rebel forces had broken through the outer defenses and were now attacking the palace walls directly. The siege isn't over, Marcus pointed out. No, the Queen agreed. But now we have something to fight for again. Hope. 1 year later, Marcus stood on the observation deck of the new human embassy on the Vitherian homeworld. Through the large windows, he could see the city that had been rebuilt after the siege. The scars of war were gone, replaced by buildings that mixed Vitherian crystal architecture with human engineering principles. Uncle Marcus, came a familiar voice behind him. Marcus turned to see Princess Zara running toward him, her crystal skin now glowing with perfect health. The blue lights under her skin pulsed with joy and energy. Behind her walked Queen Lysandra, who smiled at the sight of her daughter's happiness. Hello, Star Dreamer, Marcus said, catching Zara in a hug. How did your speech go at the academy? Wonderful, Zara replied excitedly. The students loved hearing about our adventure, especially the part where you flew through the space battle. Quote, students laughter Zara. Quote, Queen Lysandra joined them at the window. The students weren't the only ones impressed. The story has spread throughout the galaxy. Other species are talking about the human who risked everything for an alien princess. Marcus felt uncomfortable with the attention, just as he always did. I only did what anyone would do. No, the Queen corrected him gently. That's what humans would do. It took us a long time to understand the difference. The year had brought many changes. After Princess Zara's return, the rebel forces had fallen apart quickly. Many rebels had surrendered when they learned what their leaders had really been doing. Commander Vax and his inner circle were captured and put on trial for crimes against the royal family. But the bigger change was in how the Vitherian people viewed other species. For centuries, they had believed themselves superior to all other races. They had been polite to other species but never considered them equals. Marcus had changed that. His willingness to sacrifice everything for Zara had forced the Vitherians to see humans differently. If one human could show such courage and compassion, maybe they had been wrong about other species too. The Council has approved the new protection agreements, Queen Lysandra said, handing Marcus a crystal datapad. 15 human colonies will now be under Vitherian protection. In return, human advisors will help our military learn your unconventional tactics. Marcus read through the agreement. It was far more generous than anything humans had ever negotiated before. The Vitherians were offering advanced technology, military protection, and trade agreements that would transform human civilization. This is too much, Marcus said. You're giving us everything, and asking for almost nothing in return. You're wrong, Queen Lysandra replied. We're asking for the most valuable thing in the galaxy: friendship. True partnership between equals. Princess Zara pulled Marcus away from the window. Come on, I want to show you something. She led him through the embassy to a private hangar bay. Inside sat a ship, unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. It was clearly built with both human and Vitherian technology. The hull had the crystal beauty of Vitherian engineering, but the systems and layout were designed for human use. It's for you, Zara said proudly. We built it together, human engineers and Vitherian craftsmen. It has the best engines in the galaxy, medical bay that can treat any species, and enough cargo space for whatever adventures you want to have. Marcus walked around the ship in amazement. I can't accept this. It must have cost a fortune. The cost doesn't matter, Queen Lysandra said, joining them in the hangar. This ship represents something more important than money. It's a symbol of what our species can accomplish when we work together. Marcus ran his hand along the ship's hull. The crystal surface was warm to the touch and seemed to pulse with its own inner light. What's her name? The Persistence too, Zara said with a grin. In honor of the ship that brought me home. Over the past year, Marcus had served as the first human ambassador to the Vitherian hegemony. It had been a strange experience for someone who had spent most of his life avoiding responsibility, but he had discovered that he was good at solving problems and bringing different groups together. The work had also brought him closer to the royal family. Queen Lysandra had become a trusted friend and advisor. Princess Zara had become like the daughter he never had. When she called him Uncle Marcus, it made him happier than all the honors and awards the Vitherians had given him. I have something to tell you both, Marcus said, looking at the ship. The Earth Council has offered me a position as head of the new Interspecies Relations Department. They want me to help establish contact with other alien civilizations. Zara's face fell. You're leaving? Not permanently, Marcus assured her. But there are other species out there that need help building bridges with their neighbors. After what we accomplished here, Earth thinks I might be good at that kind of work. Queen Lysandra nodded approvingly. The galaxy needs more beings like you, Marcus Chen. People who see individuals instead of species. Who choose compassion over fear. I learned that from you two, Marcus replied. Zara showed me that courage comes in all forms. And your Majesty taught me that even the most powerful leaders need friends. They spent the rest of the afternoon touring the ship. Vitherian and human engineers had worked together to create something entirely new. The engines used human adaptability principles with Vitherian crystal technology. The life support systems could handle dozens of different alien atmospheres. The medical bay combined the best of both species' knowledge. As evening fell, they gathered in the embassy's dining hall for Marcus's farewell dinner. Diplomatic representatives from throughout the galaxy attended, including several species that had never worked together before. During the dinner, Ambassador Krelix from the Galactic Trade Federation stood up to make a speech. Friends, he said, 1 year ago, we lived in a galaxy where species stayed apart. We traded with each other, but we never truly trusted. Then a human salvage operator showed us something different. He showed us that the bonds between individuals can be stronger than the differences between species. The ambassador gestured toward Marcus. Because of his actions, we now have new alliances forming throughout the galaxy. Species that were enemies are becoming partners. The Vitherian hegemony has opened its borders to refugees from the war zones. The Federation has begun sharing medical technology with previously isolated worlds. One person, Ambassador Krelix continued, choosing to help someone in need, has changed the political landscape of our entire galaxy. This is why we must remember that peace is not built by governments or armies. It is built by individuals who refuse to accept that different means enemy. After the dinner, Marcus found himself alone with Queen Lysandra and Princess Zara in the royal family's private quarters. They sat together on a balcony overlooking the city, watching the stars come out. "Are you nervous about your new job?" Zara asked. "A little," Marcus admitted. "But I've learned that the best adventures start with being scared and doing it anyway." "You'll do wonderful things," Queen Lysandra said confidently. "Just remember to call us if you need help. The Vitherian fleet is always at your disposal. And remember to visit," Zara added. "The palace feels empty when you're not here." Marcus looked up at the stars and thought about all the species out there that had never met each other. How many wars could be prevented if people just took the time to understand each other? How many friendships were possible if someone was willing to make the first move? "There's something I want you both to know," he said. "When I found Zara in that escape pod, I thought I was just helping one person. I never imagined it would change everything." "That's the point," Queen Lysandra replied. "The most important changes often start with the smallest actions. You didn't set out to transform the galaxy. You just refused to let someone die alone." The next morning, Marcus prepared to leave on the Persistence 2 for his first mission with the Interspecies Relations Department. Representatives from both the human and Vitherian governments came to see him off. As he performed his final systems check, Princess Zara knocked on the ship's door. "I have one more gift for you," she said, holding out a small crystal pendant. "It's a communication device. No matter where you are in the galaxy, you can use it to call home." Marcus took the pendant and hung it around his neck. "Thank you, Zara, for everything." "No," she replied with a smile. "Thank you, Uncle Marcus, for showing me that home isn't a place, it's the people who love you." As the Persistence 2 lifted off from the Vitherian homeworld, Marcus thought about the journey ahead. There were dozens of first contact missions planned, diplomatic crises to resolve, and bridges to build between species that had never trusted each other. It would be dangerous work. Some species would be hostile to outsiders. Others would be suspicious of anyone trying to change their traditional ways. But Marcus had learned something important during his time with the Vitherians. Every species in the galaxy had individuals worth saving. Every civilization had people who dreamed of something better than fear and isolation. And sometimes, all it took to change everything was one person willing to say, "I'll help you get home." The stars stretched out ahead of him, full of possibility and hope. Marcus Chen, former salvage operator, current ambassador, and permanent friend to a Vitherian princess, set course for his next adventure. Behind him, on the observation deck of the royal palace, Princess Zara and Queen Lysandra watched until his ship disappeared among the stars. "Do you think we'll see him again soon?" Zara asked. "I'm certain of it," her mother replied. "After all, family always comes home."